And when they asked him, hey, why did you kill your family? The guy said that the pasta was, so this guy killed his family. He worked a normal job for about 5 days. He just kind of came and went. When they found out that he murdered his family, he's like, she overcooked the pasta.
Baked ziti. It was baked ziti.
Baked ziti. And
apparently he likes his ziti a certain way.
Yeah, don't mess with that. And this one, Gordo, but I was listening to the commentary, and Anderson said that Gordo is weak. He has his daughter with an ear infection. I love that line, though, when someone's like, it should be the joy of his life. And it's just been a nightmare. They look tired. She looks tired. He looks tired. So David Cross of this podcast, his dad had an asbestos job. Like, he cleared asbestos for years. And so he has a little thing against this movie because he's so annoyed that they said 1 week, because this would take months to do. This is a gigantic facility that would take months to clear out. And they got it down to 1 week. So he's desperate. He's tired. He's weak. And that's when Simon enters him, when he first sees that chair the first day when he's getting the tour.
Yep.
That's nuts.
Yep. And see, I always thought, because there's another scene that follows after that one. It's like he's there, he hears Simon, and then I think that's when Simon pretty much inhabits him. Because if you watch it, there's the following scenes where they start continuing on through the asylum, and Gordo, who's never been in the asylum before, totally bypasses the guy who's walking him around and just kind of goes off on his own. Like, he's starting to go off on his own, like he knows where he's going.
No.
When he shouldn't know.
Yeah. Wow. I didn't even catch that.
So yeah, that always got me. I was like, that was the moment. And then my whole thought process always was Simon was already implanted from the time that he left that place to the time that he pulled up to his house. And then when he was sitting in the car, I feel like he just blacked out.
Yeah. You gave me goosebumps, Janie. Right? And Simon is such an asshole. The voice,
oh God, yeah.
And just the tapes that lead up to it, and just getting told. So, the original cut of this, I'm sure you're aware, but it was more of a psychological, like, will they, won't they? You didn't know that it was Simon inhabiting this guy. Is he crazy? Is he, does he infect the weak? But Gordo died at the end. There's a woman who's in Danvers that kills him at the very end. And
I think they should have stuck with that.
Have him die?
Yeah, I think they should have, because I feel like Simon's presence was still in there because Mary Hobbs, I think that was her name, she apparently died in the asylum. So Simon was just waiting. He was just waiting for the next person. So if you take Gordo out of the equation, then Simon still inhabit the asylum.
Whoa. So what's Gordo going to do now?
I don't know. I suppose wait for the police to come, because he got 2 bodies and a dead dog at the house. And he got, I know, right? Like, honestly, I was like, man, the dog and the baby? Like, wow. That was just, I'm like, I get the wife, but what did that little kid do to you? Nothing. Except for cry and the dog bark. But, like, seriously, the dog? So sad.
You can't kill those animals.
Yeah, right.
But it's just the way the movie. I love how this movie, though, you really do begin to like the characters. So Josh Lucas is Hank. I love the scene where Gordo is like, yeah, go down there and is barely almost Scottish brogue, but he's trying to do a job to kind of get rid of it. When he's go get the red, and he's like, no, you mean the green. You mean the green, Gordo. And oh no, wait, red, right, Gordo. You mean the red, Gordo. And then Gordo's like, oh yeah, right. So Josh Lucas knows this job really well, and he corrects Gordo at moments. And I know Phil is going after David Caruso a lot. I know Josh Lucas is going at him. But he doesn't, in this movie, he's a brat, but I like there's some warmth to him. He ends up liking Mullet Head. He kind of trains him a little bit about how to ride the thing. Like, he's not a bad guy. And that's what I like about all these characters. They get moments, each one, for you to kind of like them. So Gordo's the only one. So the people who do rounds in this hospital, they don't get Simon doesn't come into them, but he chose Gordo. Does that mean the people who have been living in there weren't weak and Gordo was?
I would say yes, because my thought process is, if let's just say you've got squatters that come back. Let's just say the crazies come back to the house. They're already far gone. What can Simon truly do with them? I feel like Simon is the type of thing that wants to break somebody down all the way to their core. And if you think about it, he broke Gordon to his core by taking out his wife, taking out his baby, and probably, even though there was a lot of animosity between all these men, that was another thing I like how it's just all men, but there was a lot of animosity between all these men over different petty things. At some point in time, they had to be like a strong group, because they'd all been working with the exception of Jeff, that poor guy. But the other three, they at some point in time were like a strong core, and they just slowly broke down. And even though they broke down, Gordo still considered them like good friends of his until Simon came along.
Yeah. And was his plan to kill them all along? So, like, let's say the job goes off without a hitch, right? You have, so he lobotomized Josh Lucas.
Poor guy.
Yeah, he lobotomized him when he went back for his coins. But if he didn't go back for his coins, would he have attacked, so he started attacking when Phil, David Caruso, started challenging him. Could they have just done their job and they would have left, or did they antagonize him? What do you think kicked it off this almost final day, or almost when they're at work? Like, what kicked him off?
I sometimes wonder, watching the film, if some of the ways that we're seeing the interactions between Gordo and, let's say, Phil, or even like Gordo and Hank, if those aren't, even though we're seeing it from that point of view, is it not Simon manipulating Gordon to let us see it from that point of view?
Oh.
You get what I'm saying? So maybe they weren't really acting that way, but Simon is basically getting in his head and making him think that all these things that are being questioned, all these things are being asked, or how people are reacting to things, are them challenging Gordon. And then in that one moment when Gordon's like, yes, I am the captain, he feels like they're trying to overtake his ship.
Oh, interesting. And then he just starts murdering people.
Yeah, and then he's just like, you know what? Simon's like, hey, I got a plan. I know how to get rid of all of them.
And then that guy's just listening to the tapes.
Mm-hmm. And then that slacker, like, literally, I'm all like, yo, Gordo, why don't you check your employees? You got a job that's got to get done in a week.
That was like me when Deep Blue Sea.
Like he going to the bathroom.
That was me when Deep Blue Sea came out, Janie.
I will say this, there was two movies. I would say yes, probably you with Deep Blue Sea, and then American Psycho. There was a time whenever all you ushers would disappear.
I wonder why.
And I'd be like, where are they at? And then I'd go in there and it'd be, I think at the time it was Steven Stafford. There was like a lot. There was like 3 or 4 of y'all sitting there, and I'm like, hey, what are y'all doing?
So that was, those tapes were his American Psycho and Deep Blue Sea.
Pretty much.
Yeah, and he was slacking big time. Like, the generator's going down. Jeff in this job, he got put, the people slacking put way too much pressure on Jeff. Jeff was just supposed to be a guy who cleans up, I think. Just takes the trash out or sprays things. They
were delegating their jobs onto poor little Jeff.
Yeah, that always happens, doesn't it?
Well, yes, you find that one little person who's, I guess, that's another thing. You would think that Jeff would have been the weak as well, but I guess he wasn't weak enough. Gordo just had to be the one. But yeah, because they would just run Jeff ragged. They would pick on that poor man. They would be like, yo, go do this. And he'd be like, okay. He even went in those tunnels knowing how scared he was of the darkness. That was crazy.
He started showing inner strength, didn't he?
Mm-hmm. And that could be the reason why maybe Simon would never be able to take a hold of him, which I guess could kind of answer the question before, is why couldn't maybe Simon have taken a hold of someone else? Because maybe they had better inner strength and Gordon was just that broken.
Man, I did not see that coming, Janie, at the end when he just starts lobotomizing people for fun.
He sure did, didn't he?
Oh, gosh. Now, I'm telling you, Anderson said this. He said, I want you to feel dirty. And I can count it. So Requiem for a Dream did it to me. Mm-hmm. Clockwork Orange. This.
Yeah, definitely. Mm-hmm.
Texas Chainsaw Massacre, the original. I fell asleep during the remake.
I didn't like the remake, no.
And like I Saw the Devil, which I adore, but all those movies just left me feeling just like I needed to go take a walk in the sunlight and cry. Go eat some ice cream.
I need a triple scoop, please.
Yeah. But I think that's a highly effective movie. And the people who funded this, they wanted to take out the entire speech that I've been living with this movie for so long. I'm like an encyclopedia of Session 9. They wanted to take out the speech that Mike makes. Stephen Gevenden, he co-wrote the movie as well, but with Brad Anderson. But they wanted him to take that out. That whole joke about how this girl was raped under cloaks, and she all the family members passed her around, and yada yada yada.
80s. Yeah. The 80s possession thing, yeah.
And then they realized,
why would you take that out?
Yeah, and then exactly. But then they realized she was a virgin, and then they sued and wanted tons of money. But they wanted that out. They wanted it to be a hack and slash. And this movie's already short as it is. But you need these scenes to establish, not only that scene makes you very uneasy. It tells a horrible story, but then it's punchlined by a joke, so it alleviates it. But it still puts you in the mindset a little bit of what's going to happen. And is this the truth? Is it not the truth? What is the ending? And maybe you shouldn't trust what you're seeing. Like, it's a good story on multiple levels, and they wanted it out. And it ended up receiving no theatrical release, and that's why I had to hunt it down on DVD for $35 in 2001. Jeez Louise. Hey, did you let me borrow Boondock Saints? Was that you?
I did. I let you borrow that VHS copy that I had.
Yeah.
That was one day when I was like, you know what? I need to ride home. I was like, yo, if you let me ride home, you take me home, I'll let you borrow some movies. And I think you walked out with a few of them that day.
Donnie Darko, maybe?
I don't know. I think I've seen you reference Bottle Rocket before.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, that was definitely one of them that I had. I had Session 9 on VHS, or did I have it on VHS? No, I had that on DVD. But I definitely had Boondock Saints on VHS. I know for 100% fact that was one of the ones you were like, oh, I'll just take this. I'm like, yeah, whatever.
Yeah, and I watched it on my TV, which was a 12-inch TV VCR in 2001. And I watched it.
Got the combo.
Yeah, that's right. $219. I got it when I was in 6th grade by saving up my lunch money.
Oh, you were muscling them kids for some lunch money, weren't you? Like a latest candy bar.
Oh, no, I would. Remember those Circuit City commercials where the kid walks in, hey, sir, last week I bought it for this, and then this week it's this? I kept hoping that would happen. It never did.
Look, I got the ad.
Yeah. No, it's more expensive this week. Give me $20. But yeah, so no, that's funny. I can't believe I just remembered that. You let me have that. You let me borrow that VHS copy. Man. But this movie, though, I mean, my brother and I have been talking about it for 19 years. And when you added Session 9, so we do these movie tournaments on Movies, Films, and Flicks Facebook. And they're a lot of fun. People vote. There's always 32 people enter, one person wins. But on your team, you had Session 9. And then I immediately asked you if you wanted to talk about this movie. Because then I remembered 2001, like how much, I don't know. This brought back memories of the movie theater. And I knew you'd love talking about this because you're a horror hound.
Yes.
Hey,
and I love this movie. It's a great movie.
What are your 5, before we go on break, what are your 5 favorite horror films?
Oh, on the spot. Depends. See, I'm always going on genres. Because I mean, like, I prefer like supernatural, but like I'll watch a slasher film. Like I love The Prowler. I'll watch that movie all day long. Good Lord. If I wanted to throw 5 out there, Hellraiser for sure.
Hellraiser.
That is yeah, that's definitely up there on my top. The Prowler, because I love Tom Savini, and anything that man does is epic. That's got some good kill scenes. Nightbreed. So I'm more of like a 80s, yeah, see, and then if you want to go genre, and we're talking like supernatural, Poltergeist is up there. For me, I can never say, these are my ones, because I break it down into different categories. Like, we're going to go vampires, then we're talking like, Near Dark, Blood and Donuts, stuff like that. So, yeah, it's hard. You can't ask me that question, that's not nice.
Okay. What 5 have you watched the most? Which 5 have you, or what 5 have you watched most?
Well, in the last 2 weeks, I've watched Session 9 multiple times. But Session 9 is up there. It is one that I do watch. I watch at least once a year. So there are certain movies I watch once a year. So I would say Session 9 would be one of them. Hellraiser, the first one, always, because freaking Frank bugged me out as a child and still does. Good Lord. Let me think.
So we have Session 9, Hellraiser.
Yeah, the original, I'm telling you, it's hard for me. It's really hard. Nightmare on Elm Street. I love the original, like the very first Nightmare on Elm Street. That'll always be. That was actually the first movie I ever saw in the theater, and my grandfather lied to my grandmother about where we were going.
Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah, that was actually very traumatizing, honestly. The remake of Night of the Living Dead.
Oh, that's so good.
Yep, that's another one up there on my list.
Hey, Savini. They're so slow. We can just walk around them.
Oh, and Phantasm.
Oh,
I love
Phantasm.
Yeah, and I think my 1 year that I could probably have died and been like, I am good, was when I saw Tom Savini and the tall guy. Oh God, what is his name? Anyways, the guy from Phantasm, the old dude. I actually met both of them at a Fangoria convention, which was so low budget it was terrible, but it was nice to meet them.
Oh, that's cool. Have you ever watched Knight Riders, directed by George Romero?
I have not. My brother's been trying to get me to watch it for a long time, but I'm just like, I don't have time. So the reason why I watch them, I'm not gonna lie, the reasons why I watch the movies that I watch is because of my brother. He would just bring these movies home and be like, here, watch this. And I'd be like, what is this crap? And inevitably that's what molded me into what I am, I suppose. But yeah, that was one he's always recommended, and he always tries to shove it at me. I actually